I don't think the worst part was what my father said at the door. It was how familiar it felt. That's the uncomfortable thing about certain families. The moment that finally breaks you is usually just a louder version of something that's been happening quietly for years. I'm writing this now because silence has started distorting my memory. Part of me still tries to soften what happened, to explain it in a kinder way than it deserves. But the truth is simpler. By the end, my parents still wanted authority without accountability. And I kept confusing financial support with love. When my father's business collapsed, I was 33 with 2 children and a mortgage already stretching further than I liked. My parents were close to losing their apartment, not immediately, but close enough that my mother started speaking in practical half sentences. We may need to figure something out. Your father's trying. Rent keeps increasing. I stepped in before they formally asked. At the time, it felt natural. They were my parents. The arrangement was supposed to last 6 months. It became almost 4 years, automatic transfers every month. Kid enough that most relatives never knew. That mattered to my father. Pride survived longer than stability did. At first they were grateful, then slowly, almost invisibly, the gratitude dissolved while the expectations remained. If I missed a Sunday visit, my mother sighed dramatically on the phone. If my wife disagreed with something involving the children, my father muttered about modern marriages. The comments were rarely direct enough to confront cleanly. That's what made them exhausting. You spend years debating whether something hurt you badly enough to count. The lie started small. According to relatives, my wife was keeping the grandchildren away. That phrase traveled quietly through the family until it hardened into accepted truth. Nobody asked us directly. People prefer explanations that preserve hierarchy. Blaming a daughter-in-law felt easier than admitting parents might be difficult. The reality was painfully ordinary. My wife stopped visiting because every dinner became criticism disguised as advice. Too strict with the kids, too sensitive, too distant. One evening after another tense visit, she sat beside me in the kitchen while the dishwasher hummed behind us. "I'm not asking you to choose," she said carefully. "I just can't keep pretending your parents like me." That sentence stayed with me because she didn't sound angry, just tired, and tiredness is harder to dismiss. The confrontation happened on a Thursday evening in October, cold outside. Already dark before dinner, my parents arrived unannounced. I knew immediately something had reached them because my mother skipped greetings entirely. "We heard you're telling people we're toxic now." I remember actually feeling confused for a second. "No," I said. "I'm correcting things you've been saying." My father scoffed loudly. "Your wife turned you against your own family." Behind me, my son's laughter drifted faintly from the living room. That sound changed the conversation for me. Suddenly, I became aware that my children would eventually learn what normal conflict looked like by watching this doorway. My mother tried stepping past me toward the hallway. "I'm seeing my grandchildren, not tonight." The word surprised even me. For years, I had managed every disagreement by softening myself first. My father's face changed instantly after that. Not sadness, humiliation. And humiliation in proud people often becomes cruelty very quickly. "Then your children don't exist for us either, idiot." Silence hit the doorway immediately afterward. My mother looked at him sharply as though even she hadn't expected it spoken aloud. Inside the house, one of my children called my name from another room. I felt something settle in me then, not rage. Decision. I closed the door, not violently, just firmly. My parents stayed outside arguing quietly with each other for several seconds before my father knocked again. That was when I spoke through the door. "I'll cover November's rent," I said. "After that, you need another arrangement." Nothing answered me at first. Then my mother's voice came smaller than I'd heard in years. "What are you talking about?" I didn't respond again, because suddenly the structure beneath our relationship had become visible to everyone. The following months were strange. Not triumphant, administrative. My parents met with leasing agents about downsizing. My father started asking relatives about part-time work opportunities he once considered beneath him. An aunt called me twice trying to store peace, but noticeably stopped once she learned I had been paying the rent alone. Funny how quickly moral advice changes after financial details appear. Still, guilt stayed. That part surprised me most. People talk about boundaries like they arrive with clarity and relief. Mine arrived with insomnia. I kept remembering my mother packing my school lunches when I was young, my father teaching me to ride a bike in an empty parking lot. Memory refuses to stay loyal to only one version of people. A few weeks ago, I found my daughter drawing at the dining table. She held up a picture proudly, 4 stick figures holding balloons. "Can we mail this to Grandma and Grandpa?" I looked at the drawing for a long time. Children simplify relationships adults spend years damaging. I told her maybe later. The paper stayed folded beside my keys for days after that. Not mailed, not thrown away, just waiting there quietly like most unresolved things do.